Hello, everyone. So, for this week, we will discuss another aspect of bioethics or healthcare ethics, which will be your human creative sexuality. Now, when we discuss the concept or the bioethical dimensions of um, human creative sexuality, we must first clarify some terms. Now, when we talk of the sex of a person, this pertains to the specific nature of a person, which implies two possibilities, being a man or a woman. It is the biologic rendition of a character of being distinctly male or female. When we talk of sexuality, this is a characteristic attribute of a man and woman, and not only on the physical level, but also on the psychological, spiritual, no? Making its mark on each of the expression of the mode of being. When we talk of gender, this is understood as either as masculine or a feminine gender or sometimes a neuter gender. While sex is a biological principle, gender is the cultural expression of your sexual orientation. We may also encounter the word genitality in the discussion of human creative sexuality. No? So genitality means to generate or produce or breed, and it refers to the physical sexual attribute of the reproductive structure usually associated with the male and female organs. While sensuality, it pertains to the quality or state that indicates a devotion to pleasure of the sense and appetite, especially of the sexual act and those contributing to its consummation. Now, the concept of human creative sexuality can be can be grounded on some divine revelation. Sometimes it is connected with religious context and also with natural or anthropological truths. So here are the divine concepts, that God created man and woman, okay, and that man is the high point of the world of creation in the visible world, hence his dignity, and that both man and women are human beings to an equal degree as both are images and likeness of God. So ibig sabihin, this pertains to us that there's no gender dominance in in um, in in creative sexuality, but rather a complementary role between male and female, because one role can be done by males but the other cannot be done by the females, and vice versa. It is also established that the man and women are a unity of two, hence marriage arose and is an indispensable condition for the transmission of life, and both man and women are of weak nature. Now, the possession of reproductive organs or capacities are necessary to carry out the purpose of which sex was given. As you all know, based on your studies, you have the capacity to procreate. Okay, having sexual organs is not just for pleasure, but rather if you will look into the into its natural inclination, no, you are given a role, no, to responsibly procreate. Okay? Now, sex has its values on its own. No? It is not just for pleasure. If that's the case, then what are those values? Personally, sex is a search for sensual pleasure, while interpersonally, it is a way to deepen your intimacy, your connection with your partner. Socially, sex is a necessity for the procreation of children and their education in the family so as to expand the human community. Simply, it's a generous gift from God, no, and it constitutes a nature that must be taken care of under the notion of stewardship. And ultimately, sex is a symbol or a symbolic mystery that reveals the cosmic order of man. It means that we, as recipients, should participate in its creative power. Okay. Now, human creative sexuality has its domain. No? So we must understand that sexuality is human. It's normal for humans to express their sexuality. And when we say sexuality is total, it should be given fully. Okay? When you deal with sexual encounters, you actually give your full self to your partner because you remove your pride, no, and you give yourself, no, to your partner fully. And when you give yourself to your partner fully, you expect that sexuality should be faithful because it is yourself that you give to your partner. Therefore, you are expecting faithfulness. So sexuality should be faithful and exclusive to your own partner because you don't give yourself easily to others. No, you just give it to your partner because of the fact that you love him or her. Okay, and that sexuality is fruitful. Now, here are some destructive. If that's the case, or if those are the um, uh, principles in human sexuality, here are some of the controversial views on the practices of creative sexuality. No? Unang-una na dyan, kung sinasabi nating sexuality is faithful, yung casual or one-night stand sex. No? This is not a good practice because of the fact that your sexuality should foster friendship, should foster intimacy, should deepen connections with your partners. If you use your sex as a tool just to ano bang tamang term, no? Pa paluwagin ang iyong nais, no? Sexual na pagnanais or pagnanasa, then maybe you should review your view on sex. Another is prostitution because sabi nga natin, sexuality is human, and when it is human, then we should give it due respect. If we use prostitution or if we use our sexuality to sell off, no, okay, to sell off our to sell for economic gains, benefits, then it can become destructive. Another is yung tinatawag na artificial birth control, no? Well, this is controversial because the Catholic Church is totally against with artificial birth control because by natural law it is against the true, no? It is against the true nature of sexuality to procreate children. But then some others would tell you that artificial birth control is needed because it's needed to control population, it's needed for to prevent complications, etc. It's a matter of intention. No, if I will be asked, it's a matter of intention on how you use artificial birth control. If it's used to save your life, no, from unintended or a complicated pregnancy, then I think it's acceptable. But if you use artificial birth control to hide wrong to hide anong tawag ba dito, yung mga kapag concubinage, no? To hide concubinage kasi if you engage in adultery or concubinage, you want to prevent, no, the evidence of it, which is the possible birth of a child. If you use artificial birth control to cover up your concubinage or your adultery, then the intention is bad. Okay, so that's the time that it's not acceptable. Okay, another is gay marriage. No, the Catholic Church again is against gay marriage because it does not fulfill. No, it does not fulfill the ultimate consummation, no, of marriage, which is bearing of a child. No, even gay parenthood, they don't want it. Okay, but some people would argue that gay marriage should be accepted because it's their right, no? So may may pagkakaiba-ibang perspective on this one. Okay? Another controversial view is yung tinatawag na surrogate motherhood, no? Yung surrogacy because hindi natin ma-trace or mahirap ma-acknowledge kung sino ba ang tunay na nanay sa isang surrogate pregnancy or surrogate motherhood. Okay? So here are some of the types of surrogacy. No, it can be a traditional one, gestational surrogacy. Pag sinabing gestational, kumbaga yung egg and sperm ng tunay na mother, no, will be implanted doon sa surrogate mother at siya yung magbubuntis para doon sa embryo, no? Well, ontologically speaking, the surrogate mother, the one that carried the child, no, should is not the parent, or should not be considered as a parent if we say it ontologically. Pero the laws of our land says that kung sino ang nagsilang, siya ang magulang. No? So there's a conflict between who should be considered as the mother of the child or of the parent of the child. No? If our surrogacy is classified according to intentions, no, altruistic surrogacy is surrogacy made out of charity, no, while commercial surrogacy is nagpa-surrogate mother ka for a price, no? So again, based on the concepts of natural law, no, commercial surrogacy is somehow questionable because again, sabi nga sa natural law, we should not sell our body parts, no, to someone else. We have to give it respect. Okay? Now, here are some of the arguments, no, about artificial birth control methods and why they view it as immoral. Well, ito yung mga points na nire-raise, no, ng mga anti-artificial birth controls. Okay? Number one, it's anti-sexuality daw. Sexuality is for begetting children, and it's anti-love, no? We're saying that's anti-love if it's meant to cover up, no, adultery or other wrong relationships, no? It's anti-love. Sometimes daw it's anti-health, no, because some contraceptives bring some ill effects or risk, and it's anti-person. Okay, because it has to be treated with love. Well, these are some of the arguments, but if we will look into the intention, again, inuulit ko, if you look into the intention of using artificial birth control, then we can say that artificial birth control is somehow acceptable, no? Well, sabi nga ni Kant, no, our actions should be dealt or should be looked into the intentions of it. Okay? Now, another point of view or another discussion or another controversial practice, no, that involves human creative sexuality is yung tinatawag na sex education. Well, worldwide, there has been a serious clamor for sex education, no, because we want to prepare our children to be more responsible in their sexuality. No? Now, however, if you focus only your sex education only on the, no, not only on the content, no, yung content ng inyong sex education, if you focus it only on the mainly anatomy, mainly on how the physiology of sex should be, no, aside from your aside ito from your from your human anatomy classes, no, if you only focus your sex education on children on the anatomy and physiology only, no, tendency is that they won't take it seriously. If you will recall your first sex education encounter during your elementary days, no, if you hear the word penis, if you heard the word vagina, the first thing that comes into your mind is matatawa kayo, di ba? So if you will just only focus on the sexual, the anatomic aspect, the physiologic aspect, chances are these things won't be considered seriously. So therefore, a good way to have a good sex education program is to incorporate the values and morals, no, in sex education to give it meaning, so that they'll be more responsible, no, on how they procreate, no. Sabi nga natin sa umpisa, human creative sexuality bears responsibility, no, in procreating, no, maging responsable. Okay, pagiging responsable. So for them to develop responsibility, values and morals should be included in sex education. And what are those values? No, these values are your genuine sexuality, responsible complementation, no, having a well-formed conscience, and that they must realize that sex is a socially responsible act. No? And it is about selflessness. No? Sex is being selfless because you give yourself to your partners, no, at the right time. And and they should if they are Catholics, no, or they are Christians, they should consider the sacredness of sexuality. But if you teach sex without values, what they develop is just sensuality. Okay? Exercise in mutual pleasurable genitality, having lust, permissiveness, and the commercialization of your sex, no? Or even pornography. And licentiousness may be just developed among them. Okay? So that ends my lecture for this week. Now, if you have any questions, you may try to you can always send me a message. All right? With that, have a nice week.